How you doing, everyone? Uh, First, I got to do a sound check since I'm using my new system. Does it sound okay? Hey, Junior, and hey, B Woo, Warren, Seth Morley, Williams watches. How you doing, man? Kloss. Okay. Hey, Truth Fears. All right, sound is good, right? Yes. Somebody tell me. I can't. Does it? Hey, Brian. Hey, Clyde. Okay, good. This sounds good. All right, I've been using my new system. Uh, how about the video? Some people have said, "Hey, Mark, hi, Brian." Um, Surround sound good. uh, hey, Orange Head, Mazine, good to hear. Now, let me ask you something else. How's the video? I've been thinking of getting a video camera that would be good for live streaming. What I'm using here, uh, I one of the other things may be the lighting. I That's something else I have to experiment with. But if you guys have any suggestions for video cameras for doing live streaming, I'd very much like to hear them. Okay, so let's get started today. I It's sort of a strange topic in one ways. It's because during the last what they called the Asian crisis, if you may remember, I guess it's getting to be several years ago now. But what happened was that the Chinese government found out that a lot of people were buying Swiss watches and coming into China and using them to bribe officials to get government contracts and things like that. So they had a big crackdown and really hurt the watch business. And it was called the Asian crisis because of the watch thing. Now I think that they sort of patch things up and uh, have something a lot more reasonable now. And so you have this really huge market. And but right now there's this terrible virus they're trying to control. And this, from everything I've heard, there's that's going to affect the trade. And also too, which would mean the watch trade as well. And so what I guess what I wanted to I guess sort of bring up uh, is is sounds sort of, I don't know, ghoulish. I mean, it sort of said, "Boy, we made a killing during the Black Plague, and here it is again." Uh, what I'm, but I suppose to some extent, here we have, and if it goes to pandemic uh, length, we're all in real trouble. So let's hope they find a cure pretty quick. Okay, now in the last one, like I said, what happened was that a lot of watches were coming back from China, and I just happened to be buying one at the time, and I got it for $10,000 under the original asking price. And so a number of other watches sort of showed up with a flotsam and jetsam that came from that after that, and they were discounted greatly. Now, the planning for selling watches in this year, 2020, were probably made back as early as 2018 when they were planning on different kinds of things that they had to do. And so this whole thing may have really thrown it into sort of a mess. And like I said, this is something that is like I feel a little like a ghoulish about it. But anyway, just wanted to get your opinion. Okay, borders being shut off means no more Chinese millionaires coming over here and buying our stocks up. Okay, well that's one thing. I mean, like we got a we got a few millionaires. Okay, Mister Shinobi, that's a cool name. RR. I love these names you guys have. Hey, Brian Spade. All right, so let's get some opinions. How do you feel about these watch enthusiasts on YouTube selling 60-year-old something or others? Blake, if you use any kind of colorful language, especially of the scatological type, it gets automatically blocked. I can see it, but nobody else can. So if you type some stuff, just be sure that it's, you can find it in a regular dictionary. I'll put it that way. But anyway, let me read it. It says, how do you feel about those watch enthusiasts on YouTube selling 60-year-old crummy watches with water damage? What? I think that's terrible. Any kind of, I don't know. I don't sell anything. I'm the world's worst businessman. I'll put it that way. I, I have, it just, I'm not used to selling stuff, but I like to, in terms of buying, I like to buy stuff and try to get a good price on it. Let's see, what else you guys have? Okay. Oh, yeah. One thing I wanted to mention, this was on one of the other YouTubes. You guys probably know Spanish Bob. Um, anyway, he had a thing on our Facebook page about a little deal that they did, and this goes back to the horology house, that big scandal. And apparently, what the guy did, Chris did, he put a picture of a house burning down in flames and said that was his house, but it wasn't. This guy, I mean, when people start doing that stuff, I don't care what they've done in the past. That comes under massive creepiness, and this guy's. I would just stay away from that guy. That would be my advice. Okay. Okay. Yes, there you go, Blake. You don't have to use that word either. Some scatological word. All right, let's see. He's talking about Leo and Ferris. I don't know. They were talking about, it was maybe three guys with beards. I'm not sure. How long before we see the effects pricing here in the U.S.? Watch getting hurt badly. No, they all are. I think it's going to be bad for all of the watch companies, which is good for us if we can get our, if we can fight it. It's this is what I feel so bad about saying. We don't want bad things to happen to the watch companies that we buy our watches from, because there may be no more watches. We get really nice watches. So, but on the other hand, here's what will happen. This is another way to look at it. We're doing a good service. One of the reasons I don't like to call secondary markets gray markets is that without them, the manufacturer would have a real problem, because they take their overstock and they sell it to these dealers, brand new stuff. In fact, a lot of my watches that I get are brand new from a secondary market. And so that's why they're really not gray. I think the term gray market is like between the white market, which is the AD who will gladly charge you a premium. And then there's a black market where you buy stolen stuff and counterfeit. And so the gray is in between. It makes it sound like only half bad, but that's really not a good name for it. They're a secondary market, and they are a safety net for the manufacturers. So they're going to have a lot of stuff left over, and it's got to go somewhere. And, they're not too good at selling them onesies and twosies out the door. They're going to have a lot of them, and they're going to go into the secondary markets, because what they don't want to do, they don't want to look as though they're lowering the AD prices. Now, the ADs themselves, at least in Europe and the United States and Australia and some other places where South America, I guess too, Africa, where you're not having this, at least yet. Also, the Mid East, there's the Dubai market is a huge one. These guys may be okay, but I mean, when you take out Hong Kong and you take out Shanghai, these huge, huge markets, you're taking out a lot of stuff. And then if this virus spreads and we end up with a pandemic, and we all better hunker down. Okay, so let's see what you got here. Prices should go down some more. I need to pick up some good deals. Yeah, Blake, I think that essentially is it. Look, Clyde, Hannah is Tristan's beard. Hey, Flippin' Zippo. Let's see, what else are you guys up to? Okay, and that's something, the coronavirus, I think it's called a norovirus, or something like that, will most probably have the effect of nearly wiping out 25% of the yen by Q2, beginning of Q1 for Swatch and the big players in Asia. Wow, that's huge. You know, oh my God. This is something now. See, like I said, I feel fairly ghoulish talking about this because it's hurting the watch companies. But on the other hand, if Swatch is bleeding and they've got some good deals on the Breguet tradition, yeah, that would be the time to sort of take a close look at them, find some good buys. Okay, what do you got? I believe manufacturers should redo their pricing models. Most collectors do. They say, Carlos. Okay, let's see. What do you think about One Watch Channel driving down the prices? 5 identical Pateks? I don't know. Who's driving down the prices? I mean, if I'm selling, I don't want the prices low. If I'm buying, I definitely do. Very small production independents will fare better. Yeah, I think so too. And that's a good point because they can control it. And if they run out of stock, they can whip up the boys in the back room and they can get some out the door. It'll cost them 10 to 20% to make the watch. They sell it to an AD for 40% of retail. Then the AD lubes up the retail customer. Yeah, pretty much it. People forget quickly that the gray market, it's a secondary market, is selling Rolex at 20% discount 4 to 5 years ago. I didn't know that. But that's good. I mean, it's good for us if we're collectors. The idea of different markets is just made up. There's just a market. Oh, Klaus, no, it's not made up. It's not made up at all. You have different, you have like the India market, you have the Chinese market, you have the American market, you got the Canadian market. They are different markets. They really are. They're not made up because I don't want to go into the economics of it, but they had a term some years ago. I took a course in an economics course that MIT had, and they had this really cool term that for the amount of money that you would cost in one place and what the same amount would cost you in another. And they really are different markets. Okay, how can we find out about these deals during a crisis? Oh, Mark, that's a great question. You go to places where they usually have them. It's like the usual suspects. You're going to find them on Shopwarn stock. Excuse me. Shopwarn stock has been really going down like mad because they're running out of stuff. And so we might see that pack up. Also, too, we might see some of these other companies that are going to have to, this would be a time where you've got some good buys if they can get their hands on them and sell them. There's one of the interesting problems. I would never be into the watch business. Look what they have to do. You have to invest all this money on these watches and hope they're going to sell. And the ones that are really popular, like the Rolexes and some of those, they're hard to get. And so you have all kinds of decisions to make. And this is the reason that some watch companies, secondary market watch companies, go out of business. They stock up on stuff, but then they can't sell it and they have to pay off what their stock is. And plus I think there's certain taxes on inventory taxes, just to me sort of nuts, but that's, what do I know? Okay, let's see what you've also got the Canadian market. Yeah, yeah, I mentioned Canadian. Talked to a dealer in the UK, said supply is behind 6 weeks. Okay. That's interesting, Brian. Okay, what kind of Brian? What kind of stock was he talking about? I think people may be getting the calls from Rolex AD now, but I can't see the chance of getting discounts coming back. Depends on how bad it gets. See, nobody ever mentions the Canadian market. Okay, all right, yeah. Hey, look, we've been having a warm up here in New England. Today's high was 46, so we're I'm breaking out the speedo. Let's see, Joma Shop One, Chrono 24. Yeah, yeah. Blake, those are the places. eBay is the best deal. I don't know if you, as long. I mean, I don't know. I haven't had a bad experience with. Well, I had one, but that was my own fault. But otherwise, Carlos, yeah, Junior, you got to watch again. They stopped your message for language, so I don't make the rules on that. They do. I like to have we can talk without we can use our best show, our best talk like your mother's listening. unless you're I never mind. Okay, let's see what else you got. Watchbox has investors from Singapore. Now Singapore is a little different. That's Singapore is like a nation state almost. That's really an interesting place, and I'm not sure. Same with Malaysia. Kuala Lumpur has some really quite a good size watch market. So that I mean, because they're close to China. Poor China, man. They got Jesus. Okay, let's see. What did Jay have? The watch market is inefficient. Prices based on a variety of factors: location, currency, other watches nearby, sellers' greed, the buyer's desperation. Wait, yeah, Jay, all of the above. If I have a watch I want to sell, I want to get as much as possible. If I'm buying a watch, I want to get as little as I want to have to pay as little as possible. That's true with everybody. Okay, 60 degrees and sunny here in the flyover states. Yeah, well, 60 degrees, man. That's here they put the air conditionings on. Okay, I think that the prices of the unloved models are the ones that are Asian market oriented. Abdul, what are those? Or the ones? Oh, I see. Okay, I see what you mean, Abdul. What Abdul is saying, and I think he's right too, is that the ones that may hit the skids are the ones that are the unloved ones, like my Kalpa here, with a robin's egg blue dial. Love my watch. Hey, 5L, crippled buddy says he got coronary from Laza. He X active. Don't know what that means, 5L. Okay, Mark, if your credit card company is good, they will look out for you. Yeah, that's right. The dollar is gaining on the euro, so watches out of Europe might be cheaper to Americans in the near future. Huh, that would be nice. Of course, it's not good for the Europeans. If it's good for, I don't know if there's any situation that's good for everybody. Here we are, like, oh boy, the Black Plague is here again. Prices are great. All right, let's see. Blake, yes, Mark, if you're, yeah. Okay, let's see. The dollar is gaining. All right, the trick is to wait for the time of the year when Amex tells you there's a temporary promotion on cashbacks. That's interesting. Purchase protection up to $15K a year in each purchase. Carlos, what's that? 86F sunny and breezy in Panama. You guys, yeah, well, it's not sunny and breezy here. all we are. This is where Canadians come to New England for their summer vacations in the middle of winter. Uh, Actually, I'm a big Canada fan. I love going up there. We go up to Montreal and Quebec, neat places. Let's see, Carlos. I can use Blake. Careful, Blake. Okay, Pete's timepiece safari. This virus thing will pass soon. Is short term. I think it is overhyped, so no problem. Political stability is much more important for long term stability in economic market. I hope you're right, Pete. It seems like we've got a lot of big mess right now all over the place politically. I don't know what's going on politically. It just drives me crazy. But I try like mad, and we need to avoid politics. I mean, when we're discussing watches, you can talk about politics elsewhere all you want, but boy, here we just leave it alone. Um, all right. Okay, everybody's talking about their temperature. Sorry, I mentioned it. Randy, Canadians all moved down here for the winter. Okay. I'm thinking of investing in that. Okay. Yeah. Consider California for your next trip. Yeah, we're going out to California. We're going to go out to see one of our sons out there and some other kids and stuff. So, all right. Now, let's talk about watches. Um, that we may find some good deals. One of the things, and this is what Abdul said, is that you find some watches that are less popular models. Um, this may sound funny, but a watch that I more or less discovered for me, everyone knows it, and that's the Oyster Perpetual. I didn't realize the Oyster Perpetual was the one that Sir Hillary took up on the on top of Mount Everest back in what 53, something like that. But it is sort of like the granddaddy of adventure sports watches, and I thought that was sort of interesting. Uh, I don't know. Does anybody, from listening to Rolex buyers and sellers, of which I am not? Oh God, 5L. What did I say about? Just leave politics out of here, especially that guy. Okay, if you want to talk about watches, fine. Otherwise, leave. Um, Consider. Okay, let's see. Pete's timepiece. Canadia's boring. I wish I could go home. Well, I don't think so. I like Canada. What would you do if you got robbed from a person who is gender neutral in California? You scream, "Hey, you!" Yeah. All right. All right. None of this stuff. All right, we're getting political now and saying nasty. Don't say anything nasty about a country, a state, or any place else. Okay. Um, let's talk about watches. Let's see. Yeah, the Explorer rooted from the Oyster Perpetual. You know, Rolex uses this term Oyster Perpetual, I think, for all of its watches in some context. I never quite understood all of that because they were talking about their movements, and I guess there's certain features of their movements that are all the same. So that may be it. Hublot, Cartier, Bulgari have large exposure to the Chinese market. Good to know, Abdul. A lot of brands have almost 20 to 50% of sales. Whoa. Yes, I never thought of that. Okay. Um, oh God. Let's see. Coming out of Hong Kong. Um, Oyster Watch. Yeah, okay. Self winding. Okay. Brigade's biggest market seems to be in China. That's a good thing for me, especially if I'm interested in a Breguet tradition. What are some watches that you'd like to get? Um, A Rolex day date, Mark. Okay. Hi, Brazil. How you doing, man? Um, I'd like to put a Brigade OFC. What is a Brigade OFC? Let's see. I'm thinking about getting an Air King. I like Air Kings. Air Kings are cool. Oh, but that's from the '90s. I like the new Air Kings. I really do. They have the same movement as the Milgauss, and I like the Milgauss, except they cost a lot less. Don't listen to your wife or girlfriend. Oh, it's Blake. I take it you live alone, right? Brian, they say he took Smith's deluxe also. We got one something. All right. I could use a JLC master or driver. I'd get a. Oh man, and that's something. I get a Parmigiani Oval if it hits 95% off. Yeah, those things. I think they sell for 95,000 or 75,000, 70,000. I think those are wonderful watches. Gotta love to get one of those. But I think the lowest I've seen on an Ovale is something like 40,000 or something like that. But boy, those are really okay. I think that okay. Okay, Tippy. Well, it stands for, of course. Ah, okay. Let's see. Brigade Type XX, Bugatti, Octofacimo stainless steel. Best thing that ever happened to me was I don't know what that was. I'd get a Goodwill 4C. That's another one. Vestron twin, best sure. This is the thing. Somebody mentioned they didn't think the smaller independents are going to get hurt. I don't think brands like Wooten Lannen, FP Jorn, Gronfeld, they may be hit some because I know that some of the Chinese who would like one and have the money for it, maybe part of this whole thing is blocked, and so there may be some love to have one of those Gronfeld watches. I absolutely love those. Are beautiful watches. But the ones that I think that you may be able to get some buys on would be something like Vacheron Constantin. There's a triple calendar there that I love that one. And there's also let me see what else. I think Vacheron Constantin may be one that you could get some good buys on. I think Audemars Piguet may also. Those are two brands. Patek Philippe seems to be like Rolex. They're a pretty strong brand that you don't see the bottoms dropping out, at least on the new ones. I mean, like if you go to a place like Shopworn where they have all of these watches that are brand new, but they didn't sell. You're not going to find Patek Philippe. You may find some Rolexes. By the way, have any of you bought those? There's an auction house that sells things that have been, I guess they get it when they raid the drug lords or somebody else, and they get all of these watches. Now, most of the ones they get are Rolexes, and most of the Rolexes they get are they're sort of gold and silver, and some other ones that aren't too popular. I don't know if they get those from from a drug raid or they get them from someplace else, like Rolex dealers who can't sell them. But that's a source that I've seen, and I think a lot of dealers go there. So anyway, that's important. I think that's another place that we might be able to look. Okay, not a Patek Flam. Their finish is boo boo. Okay, Vacheron JLC Patek Calatrava. One of the things about Jacques Lecoultre is that they have good prices, but they don't seem to go up and down very much. I I I really haven't looked for the only Jacques Lecoultre I've ever bought was a new one, and that was years ago. Reversal for my wife, and it's been a fabulous watch. And I've been interested in getting a true second for myself. Now, if those prices start going down, I may be able to get it sooner than I thought. Hey, Tim, how you doing? And Tennessee Mike, how's it going? All right, let's see what you got here. Dual retrograde. Yeah, that's a heck of a watch. By the way, too, uh, d- do most of you or what is the interest in a retrograde? Um, I I like having one retrograde. All of your power reserve indicators seem to be retrogrades. I'm not talking about that retrograde, but some other either calendars or day of the weeks or seconds um, are retrogrades. I think it's cool to have at least one retrograde in a collection. It's one of those things that you can check it off. I think that's also true for regulators, but you know, I don't think most people think that. Orange seems like your drug dealer is making good money. Orange, 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 orange. Okay, I don't know who that is. Hey, Crappy Luxury, how you doing, man? From the Rolex Boutique in downtown Portland. Crappy, are you from Portland, Oregon? I got some kids who live in Portland or outside of Portland. I used to spend a lot of time there. One thing about Portland, at least Portland, Oregon. Now, there's also you may be in Portland, Maine, Crappy. I don't know. But driving in Portland, on it was always I always found it interesting. Randy, what's up? I've seen those. Oh yeah, government auctions. But in this age of super fakes, I hate to take a chance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good point. A very good point. Hey, Northeast Grover, how you doing, man? Ivan, Omega is doing a limited production game with the new Caliber 321A, a game that Rolex mastered for years. Yeah, that's yeah they do that. They're well, if I were selling watches, I wouldn't want to make any more than I could sell, and so I would if you want to stay in business, I guess you would err on the not having enough, but not a whole lot enough, if you know what I mean. Cebu, Lobo, hi from Hong Kong. We were just talking about how are things going in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is got its own set of challenges right now. Hope things are going well. Here in the UK, local police forces sell recovered items and proceeds from crime on eBay, car washes, clothing, everything. Oh, that's interesting. Um, Retrogrades are fun. You get to see a lot of movement on the dial. Love the new reservoir watches. Yeah, they all have minute retrogrades. Let's see. It's really bad. C Lobo. That's you've got the virus and you got the protest and all kinds of things going on. I want the Grand Longa one going to start GoFundMe real soon. So way to get one. Brigade 7097 is going for 22K instead of 32K. Ooh, $10,000. Chinese luxury market is dead. The Swiss watchmakers are all going to suffer. That's what we're talking about. And so there may be more for these other markets that we happen to be in. Joseph, I'm considering a new Moser Streamliner. Oh man, Joseph, I love those watches. Those are really, really nice watches. A friend of mine is getting one. He's got it on order already. And I tell you, those are beautiful watches. Have you ever been to China or Hong Kong before? Yeah, I have. I was there a long time ago. I think they still had emperors then, a long time ago. No, I was there, I think, in '84. Um, okay, let's see. I was going to say all drug leaders had day dates 20 years ago. Now they've moved up to AP and Paddock through the power of social media. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. The next thing you know, it's going to be FP Jordan and Kerry Vuitton. Uh, I think Swiss watches should be made 100%, 110 within the Switzerland borders. You know, the whole thing about Switzerland, Germany has a really strong history, and so does a lot of other places do. I did a video a while back on how the French wars of religion and the rise of uh, Calvinism and the Reformation, all of those things came together to encourage watchmaking, primarily in Geneva, and how that sort of got its start. And it was sort of interesting. And if you go there today, you still see a lot of the residue of that, but it's hard to recognize. Okay, steel sports is strong and getting even stronger at all brands. On the other hand, dress watches are weak, piling the inventories each day. Hot dickety dog. Those are my kinds of watches. Sports watch. This is my idea of a sports watch. It's got a nice, tough band. It's a Kalpa. It's everything I want for a sports watch. I have the one other one, but I don't know. Let's see. Did the Great Wall still have wet paint when you visited? No, no, the Mongols were at the other side. Uh, see, fun fact. Let's see. I'm into Calvinism, more of a Hobbesian. I now that's what you'd call a Hobbesian choice too. Let's see. The Great Wall was not painted. Well, see, that was why it wasn't painted yet, Clyde. When I was there, I want to visit the Great Wall. I haven't been there. The only places in China I've been are Kowloon and Hong Kong, and I'd really like to go and see a lot more of China. But my wife is she's afraid of everything. So, do you know that the best bet on a second watch might be Japan? Most Japanese really like buy secondhand watches. They don't like buying secondhand watches. Yeah, I know. That's a good point. You can get some really good deals that way. Um, what do I think of H. Moser perpetual calendar? I think it's the best perpetual calendar you can get. One of the things about a perpetual calendar, you got to set it sometime or when it unwinds. And so resetting it becomes very important. Even though it's perpetual, things can go wrong when the wine runs out. And it's to me, it's the best one they make. Turning 30 this year. Okay, you're getting old. Let's see. Check out the new Breitling AVI ref, yada, 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 manual wine. I was looking at there's a place that you can find. I just discovered it. It's been there forever. But there's a place on Watchbase. And if you do a search for new additions to Watchbase, they have all of these watches that have recently been added and along with their movements. And so I thought, well, maybe Breitling quit using these funny names for ETAs. They had a brand new watch it just came out with $5,000 and it's got an ETA in it. Now, I don't like that. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on. But all they have to do is say, hey, this is a ETA. There was another company that had a Salida in it, and forgot which one it was, but it was one of those, and they using some stupid phony name for the caliber, and they said it was made especially for X, whoever they were. Well, it was a Salida 300-1, I think, which is sort of their, I think it's the uh, Valju 7751, something like that. But it's, it's an okay a movement. The Salida 300 is. Why not say that? I just, but then they got all of these high prices, and so this is the part. I hope every one of those that have been trying to sell overpriced watches with, they're not bad movements. They're just not. They're inexpensive compared to what is a good in-house movement. That's something else too. The big thing about in-house and not in-house, I think, maybe the wrong thing to look at is the movement good in terms of everything you want? Are the materials good? Is the craftsmanship good? Is this and that good? And so, like, I'd rather have a house, I mean, not a house, but a watch with a Vossure movement in it than a lot of in-house watches, because Vossure movements are really great. Another thing, too, is that when you look around, even with the in-house movements, most of them are buying the better ones are buying their hairsprings from H. Moser. H. Moser they make, I don't know, a couple thousand watches a year, but they make something like 25, 50,000 hairsprings. It's not for their watches. Somebody else is buying them. And the only one they can talk about is MB&F. So, okay, I'm convinced that Sin might be the best watch with ETAs and Salidas. Yeah, the thing about Sin, though, you go to buy a Sin, they tell you exactly what's in it. And they cost, the prices are a lot better. So, Tippy, yeah, there's, I hate to be talking about this all the time, but it bugs me that when you see a watch for $4,000 or $5,000, it's got an ETA or Salida movement in it, and they call it, by some other name that has nothing to do with either Salida or ETA or whatever. And then they jack up the price. And then they have the ones, these are manufactured ones. I don't know. I just get, this is why I like watches like Parmigiani, Moser, and then a lot of other ones I can't afford that I like, because I know they're going to have their own movements, and I know what I'm getting. Okay, what do you think of FP Journe Vertical Tourbillon? It's really it's a tourbillon, I think, that actually works with a wristwatch, and it works very well, and it costs very much. So that would be, but I'm just, for some reason, I'm just not into tourbillons. A friend of mine got one with a vertical tourbillon, and it just, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with a tourbillon, really. I suppose it just doesn't do much for me. On the other hand, a Remontois Egalite does everything for me. I'd love to have a watch like that. And out of desperation, I may get a true second, because it's got sort of a Remontois in there for kicking around the second hand. Okay, let's see what else you guys have going. People are paying double MSRP on Timex for the $3 movement. Yeah, they may be. They live through their teeth. They lie through their teeth. Okay, Salida is a nice name for a girl. Almost as good as, oh, come on now, Forbin. Yell at high-class British accent. Salida, your crumpets are... Actually, I when I took that, I took a course at... through Watch Time, I think it's called that. And they have a course, and you take a movement apart and then put it back together again. Well, I took a Salida apart, and it's okay. I mean, it's a Salida. I lost half the parts because you go along, you're taking something out, and all of a sudden it disappears, and nobody knows where they go. Is it worth getting an independent watch if it uses modified ETA movement? For example, Paul Gerber. Brian, as long as you know what it is, as long as you know what you're getting, I'm for ETAs, I'm for Salidas, I'm for Soprods, I'm for all kinds of brands, as long as you know what they are. That's my only criteria. There are a lot of companies like Sin. It was mentioned. They say this has got an ETA in it, and then Sin has got this one watch with a UREC. Oh wait, it's called a um, something UWD, Urex Works Dresden, and they have one watch with that in it, and they charge a fortune for it. But that movement is just fantastic. There's a company in Munich called Ledbetter or something, Lebetter, something like that, that has those movements. But they've got the worst designs I've seen in a watch. They're terrible designs. I mean, they're just not very good design, but they got this fabulous movement in it. Again, going back again, just tell us the truth. I don't care, if you want to charge a lot of money for something, then you expect more. And so when you put a ETA or some other inexpensive movement in a watch, you're doing it so you can charge more with giving a phony name. And that's exactly what Breitling's done. It drives me crazy. Is there a difference between a harboring and a harboring two? No. Harboring two is Richard Harboring and his wife Marie. So those are the two. All right, let's see. Okay, did anyone hear what? Flip and Zippo, you've got something you said, kettle ready. Let's see. Brigade Type XX is going below 4,000 and Chrono 24. Okay, that's good news. Somebody, can you negotiate them down to 3? Boy, everything is negotiable. It really is, Blake. You can negotiate anything, and some people don't want to negotiate, so I negotiate with somebody else, find someone who does. What is that squeaking in the background? Rats. Okay, it should be gone. Sorry about that. It yeah, okay. Clyde, is that squeaking gone now? I think I got rid of it. Sorry about that. Doggone it. I got this thing here that I have a hub, and if the light goes out, something starts squeaking. Okay. Oh, thank God. Sorry about that. I can't hear. I mean, it's my hearing is shot. Okay, guys. Well, listen. Whoa, boy, we went over today, but thanks everybody for coming. Any other ideas you have of what's going on in China? I know that I feel bad for. It's gone. It was. Sorry about that. Hey, geezer. Of any small independents that make sports everyday watches on bracelets? No, I don't. I don't. Um, anyway, boy, I tell you, see, there's something else too. My new microphone picks up everything. It hears stuff that I don't, but I know where the problem is and got rid of it. All right. Listen. Oh, tomorrow you are really going to like the watch collection that we've got for tomorrow. Really a nice one. Hope to see you then. Till then, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, Art and Science of Watch Collection.